Welcome to the Edge Up podcast with your hosts Reid and Glenn from Hawaii Trading Academy. Okay. As a continuation into this part 2 series that we're talking about, last episode we talked about trading through the holidays, how some people may be lifting off the gas and take that well-deserved holiday, but the market still making moves. There are still opportunities to be had. So what we want to share in this episode, guys, the whole idea of just like ending the year strong, setting intentions, setting goals. Like, how do you even do that? You hear that all across the board. Like, it's popping up on social media. Everyone's talking about it. You got to set goals, set goals. You got to finish the year strong. But like, for when I started, I'm like, dude, how do you even begin to do that, Reed? What does that mean to you, right?
Yeah,
And
like it's empty. It's empty advice. Like set your goals, but like what if like okay, I want to make $1 million, but you got to create a path, a framework, yeah. That's what I think like immediately when I think of it.
yeah, a framework, and you could write down the goals, right? But if you're not taking the actions to that goal, right, really practical logical steps that you can put into place, then that goal will just sit as a wish, I guess, so wishful thinking, right? So we want to spend time on helping you guys or even ourselves on like, okay, here's what the things that we do when it comes to this time of the year. We're not just always thinking about pumpkin spice latte and Santa Claus and presents, right? But we're also looking forward and planning for the next year. That's going to be a trait. You want to be proactive with your schedule, your life. Have at least have a direction on where you want to go. We all say we want to get better. We all want to hit different targets and whatnot, but some people just live life um and wait for things to happen. I was like that. You're on autopilot, and um the one question that one of my mentors was asking a group of us was like, are you living life by default or are you living life by design? Are you designing your life, or are you just going to let things happen the way it is going to happen? So let's talk about that. The goals, it's with the bigger vision, right? You want a bigger purpose, bigger goals. You want to start with the end in mind, and then you want to work down, kind of what going off of what Reed was saying with the framework. For example, I want to share like one of the goals I put like was to donate $1 million to my church or your charity, right? And so like the what is your goal? You got to ask yourself why, though. Why do I
Sorry,
want
can
to
I
do
ask,
that?
is there a
But
is there a timeline on that goal, Glenn? Or is it just like a ultimate goal for you?
I need to let's start with 10 years, but I
Okay,
want
okay.
to hopefully compress that. I love that though. I love keeping me in check, my man.
Yes, sir. Let's
So
go.
that's a goal, right? Let's just talk about that, for example, on the thought behind it, right? So I got to ask myself why. Why do I want a goal? Why do I want that as a goal? Who am I going to impact? How will I do it? And when you start answering those questions, rather than just saying out straight, I want $1 million in the bank, you know, who are you gonna impact with? Why do you need it? This and that. Oh, because I want a big house, dude. $1 million won't get you a big house nowadays. That's like the average price of a home nowadays, huh? Um,
No,
so you'll eventually need to find a bigger purpose and some motivation or reasoning to start your goals.
can I like interject something here? So like you mentioned
Sure.
motivation, man.
Yeah.
And it took me a while to realize this, and it's through self-education, but like motivation is fleeing. It's an emotion. So it's not always dependable, you know? Like
Yeah.
what do you have to say for that? Like as far as motivation goes, you know?
Yeah, that's a good point. And before, when I started on this journey, I was thinking, oh yeah, all I gotta get is just, what's that song that gets me motivated? What's that YouTube video I gotta watch to get motivated? Then I'll start. It's like taking an energy drink, right? but the energy drink eventually wears off, right? So, but the whole point of that whole motivational feeling is to get you to start somewhere, you know. But eventually, hopefully, if the purpose or goal is big enough, or in it, that should be the underlying drive for you rather than you relying off motivation. You should be just disciplined into doing the things that's gonna help you achieve your goal, you know?
I think motivation is like the jump start. Yeah, it's a jump start, and then like the momentum is discipline. Like you want to keep that momentum. That discipline is what's going to keep pushing you forward.
Yeah, so like I think I saw read that there was a study done with the act of writing your goals, where everyone says you write your goals, you know, you go put it on a notepad, put it on a napkin or whatever. But there's a whole study behind it.
Yeah, yeah. So there's a this study from Harvard on, and it was about writing down your goals, physically writing them down. They say even like tablets and writing it in digital form matters. It's just that your eyes has to visually see it on some type of material. So they had a group of individuals write down their goals. So this is the statistics directly from the Harvard study. We're going to link this study in the show notes. But basically, it said 10 years later, after writing their goals, 3% of individuals with written goals had higher net worth than the other 97% combined. To be exact, that 13% with, or the 13% with unwritten goals earned twice as much as the 84% with no goals. So again, you're still going to be ahead if you don't write your goals down. Let's say you just think it out loud, or you think it in your mind. But people with absolutely zero goals and not going anywhere in life, have no intention on where they want to go. Uh, they're third in this study. So even more incredible, the study goes, the 3% with written goals and plans earn 10 times as much as all the others put together. So I mean, as traders, we want to be in that 1%, but in this study, how about you increase that edge? Is like writing
Mm,
down your goals. I think that's
mm.
a great way to start the year off, is write your goals.
That's already it's like getting a head start just by writing your goals, right? It's like it doesn't cost anything. It just takes a few minutes, you know, and you actually just put the pen to the paper. We establish, you know, the whole idea of just writing goals down, how it's significant, and it's like a springboard, right? But okay, what's the next step? I wrote my goals down. Now what?
So what after you write these goals down, Glenn, like what's the next step? What do you think? Like, okay,
Yeah,
I got my goals down.
yeah. So what comes to mind is like, you know, say you're married, you have a spouse or a family, right? You share it with them, right? You want to get them on the same page, you know?
Ooh, I almost I agree, but I disagree. I have to disagree here with you, Glenn, because like the way I see it, and this is probably a little victim mentality here, is like they're gonna disagree with you, or you're gonna get immediate like kickback. Like, oh, that's you want to donate $1 million? You don't even have $100,000. You know what I mean? Like, there's gonna be the naysayers, right? So, um,
How would you handle that? Right?
yeah, yeah. So how would you
Yeah.
handle
How
that?
would you handle it? Like, you know, for example, right, if I go tell my wife, "Hey, I want to go donate $1 million," um, I need her to get on the same page in order for us to achieve that, you know, because yes, like, or one household, we will share the finances. But if we're tugging at the in different directions, that's going to be even harder for you to achieve it, you know. So first thing, you got to sell yourself on your goal. Second thing, you sell who's in your corner on the goal, you know. And you got to be like you just got to be determined. You got to be committed to it. Like it's not gonna be easy, right? Yeah, the initial kickback could be discouraging, and that's why a lot of people, I'm sure there's a statistic on it, because of the initial kickback, the reaction, the knee-jerk reactions from their close ones, they just don't do it. They don't start, you know?
And they come from a place of love. Most times, people are like, oh man, that sounds really risky, doing that, or putting all your life savings on the line or something, to start this business, et cetera, et cetera. and it comes from a place of like, I don't want to see you hurt. Like I want you to be safe. You know, that's what a lot of society implements on our consciousness, right? But I
Mhm.
think in the end, like with just this little intro part of here of creating a plan is you can tell someone, but in the end, like you gotta have you in your own corner. You know, you are your biggest cheerleader. You gotta be.
100%, 100%. It's the road's not gonna be easy. It doesn't get easy. I mean, if you hit a small target, say you're like you kind of, if I scale it down, be like, instead of giving $1 million to charity, I'm gonna donate $1,000. Very then
Yeah,
you
like
tell
baby
your
steps,
spouse.
baby steps.
Then you
Yeah.
tell the spouse, we're like, yeah, let's do it, right? But the thing is, because you kind of already was thinking about the million, then you bring it down to 1,000 because it's doable, absolutely doable. Are you gonna feel that much fulfilled? Are is that, is like, is that your potential? So
No, yeah.
yeah, right. Because you
That's a good point,
we're meant
man.
for, we're our nobody knows our potential but ourselves, right? And so our immediate spouses will not know. So let's bring it back to breaking the goals down, right? So we have the action plan now. Some people say give your goals a time frame. There's ways that, you know to do it. There's a million ways to do it, right? But what worked for me, we do, me and my wife do, we have our yearly goal, or we have our big 10-year goal and whatnot. Then we break it down to like a 90-day target. So that's almost a quarter, 3 months. So
Yep.
90-day, we could do 90-day targets. Why is that? Because for me, myself, I don't get overwhelmed. It's easier for me to focus on immediate task. For example, if my 10-year goal is to donate 1 million, right? You do the math, you break it up, you just do simple math. 10 years, I need to save $100,000 a year, right? And then that'll equal to $1 million. Okay. We know that Uncle Sam, like, of course, when we make the income, we'll get taxed. But when we donate it to the nonprofit or the charity, it shouldn't be taxed. So we know that the math will be mathing. Okay. Um, and the yearly targets to put away 100K, you break them into 4 quarters, that's 25K per quarter, divided by 3 months. That's $8,300, 8,333 a month, right? And so you're like, okay, boom. Like, what do I have to do to go ahead and produce that type of money where I could put that away? That you just break it down to a simple. You're not thinking of $1 million every day. You're thinking of, okay, $8,000 this month, right? And then you chop it up into 4 weeks. That's 2,000 and some change per week. And so one of the things that other comes to mind, we want to bring it back to trading, right? Um, One of our members were having a coaching call, and this month was a busy month for them in as far as um work or in their personal lives, lots of things moving. And so we started to notice that he was trying to balance out that and trade, and those for leading him to taking forced trades, being in the market when he shouldn't, trading against his plan. And so what we aim to do, instead of like focusing on the dollar amount for him to make, we're like, hey, why don't you, I know you're super busy, but like get to a point where you can develop a sense of routine, even 5 minutes before you even get on the chart. Ask yourself these specific questions to get yourself present and even determine if you're able to even trade, clear mindedly. And we just made it simple. And he's like, yeah, yeah, let's go do that, and it kind of washed away all his frustration because he was feeling really down about the past couple losers that he had. And he told us that he had his biggest winner this month, but those other losses were overshadowing it. So bringing it back into perspective for him and just making it clear, like, okay, focus on routine this month.
I do want to say a little interjection here for as traders. A lot of new traders they like to put a percent or money target goal per month, per quarter, etc. Just a warning sign, red flag here is that we can never plan how much we're going to make from the market. The only thing that we can plan is how much we'll be willing to lose. So that's per trade. And so if you know your stats, if you know your data, you're going to know that answer. So just a caveat and a warning sign of be careful as traders setting those monetary and percentage goals. Instead, make it a process oriented goal. Like, okay, I'm only going to risk 1% per trade for this entire quarter. Boom, and see how that goes and so forth. So just just side note on for traders out there who plan their goals that way.
Love it. I mean, you're already kind of taking it into, our third point of taking action, bro. Like, how would you how would you take action on the goals when you write it down, you're breaking into bite-sized pieces? What's next?
Yeah, so after I've done all that, now it's time to take action. So like that's this thing I'm gonna do. And then I think there's a two part here. So like I want to take action, but I think just like anything, you'll go fast if you go alone, but you'll go farther if you're with the right people. And I think that's super, super important there is, and I didn't make up that quote. Like that quote's like a age old quote, Proverbs. But that surrounding yourself with the right people who have maybe not the exact same goals as you, but similar goals. So like Glenn and I always relate to us. Like he has trading goals, I have trading goals. It's not necessarily the same, but we know we are on the same path together. And I think that's that having that accountability is what is the factor, the biggest factor here is having that after you have your goals and you're taking action now and you have action steps. It's almost like, yeah, you want to share your goals with the right-minded people. So we kind of talked about that, right? How you'll get pushback, but the right people who have the same goals or similar goals as you, they're going to help support you and they're going to give you motivation. They're going to tell you, no, I'm sorry. They're going to tell you what you need to hear. They're not going to just be like, yeah, sure,
Ye
yay, you could do it all. But, the real people, the real accountability partners are going to tell you what you don't want to hear, but you need to hear. You don't want to hear it, but you need to hear it.
Yeah, I mean, in addition to that, like, how do you know you're finding the right people, for example, you ask yourself this, did this person achieve the thing that I'm trying to do? If not, do they know someone who has done it? Or like what Reed was saying, our goals align. Do they align with yours? Is there a way to help each other succeed? You want to go with people that want to help you succeed. Like Reed said, they'll say the right thing, not necessarily the nice thing, the accountability. That's so crucial. Part two of that whole thing, there's still work to be done. Like you got to step it up. You got to go. What's the thing you can do put on your calendar this week that'll help you chip away at your target, no matter how big or small that task or thing is, right? Maybe just meet one person this week that'll help you get to your goal, or spend that extra time in the gym, put that workout in the calendar, whatever it may be. I think when you put on your calendar, you actually be intentional and be like, okay, I'm blocking out from 9 to 10 a.m. I'm gonna do this thing. That way, once you do that, it's like boom, you're on the way. That's your first good step right there. Boom. You know?
It makes it
What
real,
yeah,
like when you put it on your calendar, it makes it like, okay, oh, I have to do this. This is when I have to take action. And I would even say this is like you have, 365 days a year. We're not gonna hit 365 days of taking action. I mean, not most people, but the point is like, have I taken more actionable days than the year prior? I think that's a good thought process to have. It's like just because you don't hit all 365 doesn't mean your work wasn't done. There is work that was done. As long as you write it down, you put it in, like, make it real, right?
you're
Make
real.
it real.
Right. And ask yourself, right? What can I do today to move the needle forward? Um, you know, keep track of your days. Like I said, going back to like the 90-day target. Okay, day one, day two, day three. by week 4, I'm gonna have this achieved, you know? And for me too, like what helps is when I put things on the calendar and it's kind of out, like a few months out, it gives me something to look forward to. You know, not it doesn't always necessarily have to be a deadline. It could be a trip, it could be business conference or whatever or event that you're gonna go to. When you have it on the calendar, for me, like it gets me excited because it pulls me forward to the like I want this day to happen already. It kind of helps you on the psyche part where it's not just motivation, it's like it does something to you. Like it's real. This is gonna be real, it's gonna come you know, counting down the days. So in order for me to hit that day, I need to get these things done. Lastly, you want to do a monthly review or recap on your progress. If not monthly, quarterly at the bare minimum. Some people do it daily. You can do it daily where you can just review what you did today. And then my wife does this. She has a planner and she does this. She rates her day and then she reviews on like, okay, and then she asks herself, what can I have done to make this day better? And it doesn't even need to be work. It doesn't need to be this and that. It's like you want to live a fulfilling life, a happier life, less stressed life. You got to take care of yourself. And like those little questions, people don't even have the day of the time to even ask themselves
Time
that.
of day, time of day.
Time of day, right? And so you want to go over your progress, and then you want to share it with your circle, right? Whether you have those wins or those losses. One of the things we can get, I guess, blinded by where we're doing a certain task or we're on this journey, and when we don't like we get input from other people, they could see things from a third person view or outside perspective. And one of the things we recommend is to, like, yes, receive that input, but approach it with an open mind. It's hard because you're like, dude, I put all these hours, I put all this work and effort, to sweat, blood, sweat, and tears in it, but it came out this way. And then you share it with a mentor, you share it with your partner, then they could have said like, oh yeah, you could do it this way, or they had just have input. You gotta be willing to just take it and pivot where you need to go, because it's never a straight easy path, because you don't want to forget the goal. The path isn't easy. You'll get beat up and tested, but you just got to go dig in deep and find that strength to continue on. You know, one question you want to write this down, like, what, or this is a quote I heard, I forget where from. What you want is on the other side of fear. I think Ray Dalio, Principles book. I think that's where it was. He gave that whole idea.
Sounds like a Ray Dalio thing.
It is, right? So he gave a whole little analogy of like, hey, if you had to go through this forest, there's like wild animals and whatnot, but on the other side of that forest is the life you want. And kind of just bringing it back to that quote, what you want is the other side of fear. So you're going to have to go through those things. And you'll be tested, and you'll hopefully it'll improve your character for the better, and you'll grow from it. And so, kind of to wind it down, we want to ask you, yourself, do you want to be the same person you were last year? Right? You're like, of course, I'm Glenn. Like, who else can I be? Right? But really, in as far as, do you want to achieve the same things? Do you want do the same things you were doing, right? Having the same schedule, having the same whatnot. Some people do. That's fine. They could do 40 years of the same thing, you know, and by all means. But if you're reaching for something greater, right? We don't want you guys to get stuck in a comparison trap. You want to The only thing you compare yourself is your old self, the year before. And that's the thing you want to be going against and measuring yourself against, rather than not your neighbor, not that person you saw on social media, right? Not your competitor. Like it's just really you. You know, get the mirror out and just do some of that deep work. Let's see. Yeah.
Yeah, the last thing I wanna say here, man, is yeah, definitely ask that question. Do you want to be the same person you were last year? But that's going to take a few character traits that you need to develop if you don't have it already. That's great. Perseverance, resiliency, discipline, all those descriptors of a successful person, in my opinion. Glenn, I'm sure you have different words, but I just want to share that we do have episodes on resiliency and everything that you've heard that we talked about. It's all going to be in our show notes. So if you're curious to listen more, to do more research on your own, check out the show notes. It's going to be in the bottom of the link here.
Thank you guys for listening. Whether you're looking to improve your trading mindset and growth, we'll provide you with the tools, tips, and inspiration you need to make your next breakthrough. So tune in and let's edge up together.